That's a fake smile, Brantley.
No, it is not.
You gotta smile normal. Just smile normal, like you're happy.
Don't show any teeth.
Brantley, what day are we on? Working on a race car. What day are we on?
The 12th, I think.
It feels like about the 300th. Maybe. It's like the 300th day of school. We've been working on it long time working. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm over here at Shop B&K Performance. We are on day 12, as Brantley said, but I don't think that's accurate. It feels like 5,000 million days. Super tired, a lot of work. Man, we got like a week to go. No, it's been more than 10 days. We'll have to go back and look. It's been a long time. I don't know how long it's been, but we're working on a race car. Let me show you what we got going on today. Go to turbojohnracing.com, grab some merchandise. Hopefully, not this weekend, but next weekend, this car will be making passes at Darlington Dragway. Hopefully. So as with the last few videos, it's like nothing changes. And that's why, I'm having to, it's taking multiple days usually to get me one video because I don't figure you guys want to see like the crap. You know, the stuff that takes a long time and it doesn't look like much is changing. But we did. We got most of this stuff done. The button is wired here. The shifter is in. The shifter is mostly wired, except for when I was on the way over here. I completely forgot that I don't have my neutral safety switch wired up. So we got to rewire the starter, which luckily that's easy. Basically, if it's not in park or neutral, it does not work. So that way we don't have to worry about running over anybody. Other than that, the wiring is done in here for the most part. We did get most of the modulation valve, the PMW, the pulse width modulation solid state relay. That is mostly wired up. Still got a couple things to do to that, waiting for my flyback protection. So once we get that done, then we're gonna be good to go. So let me show you what we got going on tonight. Tonight we're gonna be focusing, I've got two goals tonight. We gotta take the drive shaft out of the back of the car. We gotta get the back shocks mounted up. Once we get the back shocks mounted up, we'll be good. And then hopefully get the coils installed. That's the goal tonight. Let's see how far we can make it. Okay, guys, so here we are. We're under the back of the car. We got those Mod Series QA1 shocks back here. These things are bad to the bone. We got our 14-inch springs on it. I don't know if the 95 is going to be enough. It's definitely enough for like radial. I don't know how much it's going to crush. The car is light, but we are going to have a bunch of weight on it. But we got these things mostly installed. So we did run into a little bit of an issue. So up here, this is the bracket that we put on it. I think they come from All-Star is I think what they are. And you can see the way this thing is designed, it's like they're both lefts. So you see the washer up on the left, it is actually welded to that bracket. No big deal. These are the same ones that I had on my other car. But when I put this bracket on this side, I failed to take into account that the shock was going to be moved over. So the other night, we had to grind the piece off. So now, and you see over on the right side, that hole is a lot bigger. It had the spacer that goes in there is larger outside diameter. And what it does is this thing was pushed basically over here. And when the shock tried to get in the bracket with this spring pushed up in the cup, you can see what was happening. It was hitting the frame. So basically what we did, there's not a left and a right. They're both lefts in my opinion. But I should have moved that bracket over, but I didn't. So what we did, we cut it off, do that. Now we'll move the spacer over on the right side. Now we've moved it. So these are just regular old bolt-on brackets. I don't even know where I got this kit. This thing back here, the brackets on the rear end were actually welded on already. And so we were going to use those and not have an issue. But I want this thing, they're going to be at a pretty good angle when I do that, which angle is not terrible. The other car is angled. But Brian on his car, he kind of had a similar issue. And so I found some of these. He's got competition engineering, but basically they're a billet shock. It's for the lower mount back here. And it's kind of designed, or it is designed, you can see it's nice, about 1 inch thick. These things are actually pretty heavy. And it's designed when you have 2 of these, and it goes in the middle. But what I'm gonna do temporarily right now is I'm gonna just bolt it to the inside edge of this, and I'm not gonna use this floppy one here. And so what'll happen is that'll move the lower shock over just a tad to make it stand straight up. That's what our goal is. That's what we're gonna do now. And then we should be fine. And Brian's been actually running his like that for a while. And I mean, if you think about it, it probably is okay. I mean, it probably puts a little bit more pressure on that bolt, but not much. These are grade 8 bolts, so it'll probably be fine. But I'll probably come back later, buy another one of these, and I don't have much room, but I will actually weld it over here and make it, you know, so that it's in the middle, what I'll do at some point. So we're going to do that. Hopefully the back shocks will be on. We do have to take the drive shaft out of it. You can see we got it jacked up, but the drive shaft is about a ½ inch away from that lower support. So we need to get the drive shaft out of it so I don't mess up the drive shaft. Once the drive shaft comes out, then we're going to have to cut that cross member and modify it. So basically we need more space. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can cut the whole middle out, bend another piece of bar and make it drop further down, or you can cut the top of the actual 2x3 out. Instead of making it 2x3 right there under the drive shaft, it'll be a little bit smaller. Drop it down to so it's about 1 inch tall, but you got to box it all back in, make it all solid so you've got some support back. So that's what we're going to be working on. Let's see if we can make it happen tonight under the rear end. All right, guys, so the back ones are on. Front ones, we're fixing to go ahead and put the front struts on. I've got those 1495s in the back, and they are not compressing at all. This thing is super, super lightweight. It needs to drop down about another 3 inches. So I can put the 12-inch spring on it. I think I've got a 12-100. Radio racing, they use a 14 or 1665. But the thing is, Brian put a 50-pound weight back here, and it didn't really drop it much. But it is moving. So we're going to go ahead and put the front struts on it now. I'm going to go ahead and put the single adjustable ones on it for right now. Get those on it, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, guys, so we changed the back springs. I take everything back apart. These are the springs I had on the back. They're 1495s. So we put those on the front, and we got 12 110s on the back. I'll probably order some from Mincer or somebody. I probably need some 12 or 14. 1465s, I think, is going to be ideal for the back. So we're going to be doing that soon. But right now, we are going to change the other side real fast. All right, guys, I don't know if y'all noticed, but we got sidetracked. Our plan got hijacked, but that is what kind of happened. So my initial game plan was to just do the back shocks and work on wiring, but it turned into a chassis night. And so we ended up with the springs on the back. We had the 1495s, and the 14s were just too tall, honestly. And it was just one of those things that it was just, there's no weight back here. This thing is like, it weighs nothing in the tail end. So my goal of the bias, we may be off. I may still end up having to add a ton of weight in this car to make it so that we can get the bias what we want. But this is ride height. So this thing is super low. The front coil springs, what we ended up doing was we put 12-inch 110s on the back, and they're not compressing a ton. But when Brandon sat on the back, you know, added 250 pounds, it got about where I think it needs to be ride height wise. So, you know, we're probably definitely gonna have to add some weight back there. So, you know, it is what it is. So that's gonna work out back there with those 12-inch 110s. And then up front, we moved the 1495s. And right now, currently, these things are bottoming out. So they are max capacity all the way. It's on the bump stop. And I do have a bump stop in there. And these are just the old cheap single adjustable struts. We are going to put the good ones on it at some point, but not right now. So what we're going to have to do is run these jam nuts up. So these things have to just go up. And that when I'm talking about the jam nuts, I'm talking about these things right here. Basically, you just have a tool. I don't know what it's called. It's not called it's called a spanner nut, I think is what it's called. A spanner. It's called a spanner, I think. No, we have a spanner wrench. So yeah, if it's a spanner wrench, it's a spanner, I guess is what it's called. I don't know. But anyway, you got to jack it up, get the pressure off of it. We're going to run it up. But at this ride height, all of that arm is in the body of the shock. So we need to get that up so it's at least probably an inch out. But right now, how much travel we got right now?
6 inches.
It's got 6 inches of travel from that point with nothing crazy. I took the spacers off of it. That's insane. And so I think we're going to be okay with our travel. We're going to jack it up real fast. We're going to lose that by an inch. Now something else. Hey, Brandon, go sit on the back real fast. Let's see if it might pick up on the front when you sit back there because of just leverage. The back went down, and the front, it did try to come up some, but that wasn't enough leverage to actually get it so that it would come up. So we are going to run this up a little bit. So we're going to run it up an inch. So we will end up with 5 inches of travel in the front. So let's turn this up. We're going to get this turned up, and I'm going to show you. Then we start playing with caster camber. Caster camber actually looks pretty doggone good. You want it all the way back as far as you can. And you see the tire is leaning just a tad, but it is not much. But we are having a little bit of a bump steer issue. So the first thing we got to do is get the ride height right. And then we're going to play with bump steer. And you notice down here, these things are all the way down. The goal is to have that link at the same angle as the lower control arm. And you see it's not quite the same. So what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to put another couple washers or shims in here. We don't have much more room. Of course, the less travel you have, the less bump steer is an issue. But when you have a lot of travel, like we're trying to do at these back of the track no prep races, bump steer becomes problematic. So let's see what we can do. Let's jack this up real fast. And then once we jack it up, we'll start playing with bump steer. Got these QA1 shocks. These Pro Mod series shocks they're awesome. So we got those things. Those are on. They both are at a little bit of an angle. It's kind of hard to tell, but you know, that's fine. The other one, they were at an angle too on the other car. So it seemed to be okay. So those things rock. So the back of the car is mostly done.